Hello everyone, and welcome to another lecture for international reporting. Today we're going to talk about India and Pakistan, two longtime enemies. The importance is that both have nuclear weapons, and so these two neighbors pose significant problems for the world if they were to come to war again, which they have in the past. So looking at India first, if you look at the map, here is an idea of India, its various provinces. Here is the capital of New Delhi. Okay, here is the border with Pakistan, and here is a border with China, which has created some problems between India and China in recent years. So India has a long history. It's been home to several ancient civilizations and empires, some dating back to more than 2000 BC. Culture and religions have flourished over the millennia, and foreign influence has ebbed and flowed. In 1858, India came under the direct rule of the British Crown after a failed Indian mutiny. In 1888, the Indian National Congress was founded as a forum for emerging nationalist feelings. Mahatma Gandhi, you probably heard of, 1920 to 1922, he launches anti-British civil disobedience campaigns. In 1942, 1943, in the middle of World War II, the Congress of India, the Indian National Congress, launches the Quit India movement. In 1947 is the end of British rule, immediately after World War II, as British power waned after the war. And there was a partition of the subcontinent into mainly Hindu India, and then as part of, that was carved out of India, the Muslim majority state of Pakistan. In 1947-48, there were hundreds of thousands who died in widespread communal bloodshed after the partition because many Muslims were left in India proper, and the Hindu and Muslims did not get along. In 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by a Hindu extremist. Gandhi was Hindu, but he was assassinated by a Hindu extremist. In 1948, there was the war with Pakistan over the disputed territory of Kashmir, which continues as a problem today. India has a population of 1.5 billion people. It's generally either the second largest in the world behind China or the largest in the world. Depends on the fluctuation in populations. And of that population, 80% are Hindu, 13% are Muslim, 2.3% Christian, and Sikh is about 2%. So in order to understand India, you have to talk about Hinduism. It's an ancient religion with no founder or known date of origin. It simply derives from the word India and refers to a wide variety of religious traditions and philosophies that have developed in India over thousands of years. Most Hindus worship one or more deities. They believe in reincarnation. They value the practice of meditation and observe festive holidays. In Hinduism, there is not just one purpose of human life, but four: dharma, fulfilling one's purpose; artha, prosperity; kama, desire, sexuality, enjoyment; and moksha, enlightenment. There is a specific belief about God or gods is not considered one of the essentials, which is a major difference between Hinduism and the strictly monotheistic religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Sikhism. There is a long-time caste system in India, which is tends to be promoted by the government, although it's not legal. It's comparable to a class structure in other countries, except that the Indian system has been rigidly enforced and has lasted for thousands of years. The caste system was enforced as law throughout the subcontinent until the adoption of the Indian Constitution in 1949, which technically outlawed it, but it remains a deeply ingrained social structure, particularly in India, in rural India. So at the top are the Brahmin, the priests and academics, then the warriors, the merchants and landowners, the commoners, the peasants, and then the untouchables, the street sweepers, latrine cleaners, etc. Sikhism is another important religion in India, although only about 2% of the population follows Sikhism, but many of the merchants are Sikhs. You probably note them because they have long beards and they have colorful headdresses, which many people think that they're Muslims, but they're not. They're Sikhs. The founder of the Sikh religion was Guru Nanak, who was born in 1469. He criticized the blind rituals of the Hindus and the Muslims. He passed on his enlightened leadership of this religion to 9 gurus. The final living guru, Guru Gobind Singh, died in 1708. It has about 30 million followers throughout the world. Sikhism does not have priests. The goal of every Sikh is to build a close, loving relationship with God. The Sikhs believe in a single, formless God with many names who can be known through meditation. This concept is similar to Islam, whose followers believe in a single God who has 99 names. Prayers are repeated multiple times each day. In terms of worship, Sikhs are prohibited from worshiping idols, images, or icons. There are clothing practices followed by stricter Sikhs called khalsa. Long hair which is never cut. This term is sometimes used to refer to the turban that is used to cover the hair. The Sikh code of conduct states that a Sikh must not take hemp, opium, liquor, tobacco, or any intoxicant. It's kind of ironic that the Sikhs are known for making great beer. Islam and Hinduism, there's been a conflict for a long time. After the birth of Islam around 700 AD, the first recorded act of aggression from Muslims against Indian settlements occurred 15 years later. Muslim invaders found success between the years 1191 and 1255 when they overtook the Indian city of Delhi. There's Old Delhi and then New Delhi is where the government is. But Delhi has been around for many years. In 1310, the Muslims attacked outlying prominent Indian kingdoms, and by 1329, the entire Indian nation was under Muslim rule. So you can see this budding conflict between the two peoples and their two religions. During the occupation, Muslim rulers enforced their rule by reintroducing slavery and destroying Hindu places of worship. Muslims killed many of the Hindu monks and priests in their efforts to subjugate the Indian people. Despite the Indian victories in later years, India did not fully recover their religious practices until British troops routed Muslim troops in the late 1800s, so that there was a long dominance of Islam over India. Muslim dissenters set off a series of riots in the 1920s after it was reported that they began openly slaughtering cows, which are sacred to Hindus. Relations were further strained in the 1940s when Muslim detractors demanded that Pakistan become an independent Muslim state. So a lot of conflict throughout the years. Now Kashmir has been a problem between India and Pakistan for many years. This is the area here, okay? And China is right here, and there's been conflict here between India and China. So it's a very volatile area. The Kashmir conflict is a dispute in the northwesternmost part of South Asia. India claims the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir, and as of 2010, it administers approximately 43% of the region. India's claims are contested by Pakistan, which controls approximately 37% of Kashmir. India has officially stated that it believes that Kashmir is an integral part of India. Pakistan maintains that it is the to Pakistan. It's the jugular vein of Pakistan, and a currently disputed territory whose final status must be determined by the people of Kashmir. China, on the other hand, claims this part here as part of China and does not recognize the addition of Aksai Chin to the Kashmir region. India and Pakistan have fought at least 3 wars over Kashmir, including the wars of 1947, 1965, and 1999. And there has been no resolution to this conflict yet. A little background on Mahatma Gandhi. His actual name, given name, was Mohandas Gandhi. From 1869 to 1948, he was known as Mahatma, the Great Soul. He was the leader of the Indian nationalist movement against British rule and is widely considered the father of his country. His doctrine of nonviolent protest to achieve political and social progress has been hugely influential. After he graduated from university, he went to London to train as a barrister, a lawyer. He returned to India in 1891 and then went to Durban, South Africa. Gandhi was appalled by the treatment of Indian immigrants there and joined the struggle to obtain basic rights for them. During his 20 years in South Africa, he was sent to prison many times. In 1914, the South African government conceded to many of Gandhi's demands. He returned to India shortly thereafter and then started fighting with the British, so that in 1919 he suspended. He was prompted to announce a new major British movement which attracted millions of followers. He was sentenced to prison and was released 2 years later. He withdrew from politics, devoting himself to trying to improve Hindu and Muslim relations, which had badly worsened. Ironically, it led to his death by a Hindu nationalist. A little bit more about Gandhi. In 1930, Gandhi proclaimed a new campaign of civil disobedience in protest for a tax on salt, so that the British said that salt should be taxed, and he led thousands on a march to the sea to symbolically make their own salt from seawater. In 1931, he attended the Roundtable Conference in London as the sole representative of the Indian National Congress, but he resigned from the party in 1934 to protest at its use of nonviolence as a political. He wanted to use nonviolence as a political expedient. He was replaced as leader by Nehru. In 1945, the British government began negotiations that culminated in the Mountbatten Plan of June 1947 and the formation of the 2 new independent states of India and Pakistan that were divided clearly along religious lines, Hindus in India and Muslims controlling Pakistan. There was massive violence, which actually continues today. There will be battles between Hindus and Muslims, primarily in India. Gandhi was opposed to partition and fasted in an attempt to bring calm in Calcutta and Delhi. He was assassinated in Delhi by a Hindu fanatic because he was trying to bring peace between the Hindus and the Muslims. Indira Gandhi was the first female prime minister of India. She was the daughter of the first prime minister, Nehru, and she's not related to Mahatma Gandhi, but she and her family played an important role in the history of India. In 1974, India explodes the first nuclear device in an underground test. Her party actually lost the election in 1977. But in 1980, she returns to power, heading the Congress Party. In 1984, she ordered troops to storm the Golden Temple, which is the Sikhs' most holy shrine. And she was assassinated by her bodyguards, who were Sikhs. Her son, Rajiv, took over in 1984, but he was also assassinated in 1993. Now, Modi has been the prime minister since 2014. He has nationalist tendencies and has, essentially had a good relationship with President Trump. It used to be that the United States was close to Pakistan. We had a variety of problems with Pakistan, particularly after 9/11, and the United States policy has shifted more toward India. In the background, it's taken 6 weeks, but you can hear one of my dogs barking. I apologize for that, but working at home, you have to deal with the problems that exist. So the economy of India is developing into an open market economy, yet traces of its past autocratic policies remain. There has been economic liberalization, deregulation, privatization of state-owned enterprises, and reduced controls on foreign trade and investment. These began in the early 1990s and has served to accelerate the country's growth. One of the problems that I had when I visited India to work is that the government bureaucracy was so difficult to work with that I found it quite problematic. India's diverse economy encompasses traditional village farming, modern agriculture, handicrafts, a wide range of modern industries, and a multitude of services. It has capitalized on its large educated English-speaking population to become a major exporter of information technology services and software workers. Many people working in the United States are in software development are Indian. India's medium-term growth outlook is positive due to a young population and low dependency ratio on government services. There are healthy savings and investment rates, and India has increasingly integrated into the global economy. India does have many long-term challenges that, there is widespread poverty, inadequate physical and social infrastructure, and a lack of access to quality basic and higher education. The per capita income is quite low, $3,700 per year, which is 165th in the world. Unemployment is high, and those who exist below the poverty line of roughly 30% in 2010 is also quite high. So that's it for now. Thanks very much, and we'll see you online. Bye now.